Hi, my name is Chris Sainsbury. I live in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, the story of Dean Crossfit is very unique. I originally started CrossFit Kingsborough with my business partners, which was not too far away from here, maybe 600 meters away from here. But 800 meters in the opposite direction was my adversary, not my adversary, but like my direct competition, Maylard Howell, and he owned CrossFit Prospect Heights. We were the only two black men in the New York City metropolitan area to actually own a CrossFit gym, and we still are. And what we realized is that we were kind of like, excuse my language, but we were pissing in each other's backyard. Like, I had to pass his gym to get to my gym. He had to pass my gym to get to his gym. Some of his members lived over here. Some of my members lived over here. They had to cross each other to like get to the respective gyms. So one day I just happened to be walking my dog and bumped into Maylard, and we had a conversation. I said, "Hey, man, why don't we get underneath the same roof and we'll be two awesome black-owned strength and conditioning coaches, entrepreneurs, and businessmen and leaders in the community together, rather than being in two different opposing forces." Dean CrossFit has been open for 3 years. We're actually in our fourth year. We're like maybe 4 months into our fourth year. So we're 3 months, we're 3 years and let's say 5 months, something for rough numbers. We serve roughly anywhere between 300 to 350 members at a premium. Dean CrossFit is in the junction of three awesome and very prominent neighborhoods: Bedford-Stuyvesant, Clinton Hills, Fort Greene, Prospect Heights, and Crown Heights. And you can even pick off a little bit of Park Slope in here. For me, it's being a farmer. I plant seeds, I provide fertilizer, I turn to soil, I pray and wait for harvest season. You know, the sun shines, it rains, I then have to tend to the grounds, make sure that, I pull the weeds and I create and put more nutrients back into the pot. And then but I feel like I'm a farmer from the 1800s. So sometimes I feel like I have a horse or a donkey out in front of me, and I got this plow that I gotta dig into the ground myself, because it is a lot of hard work. There are very uncertain weeks, days, and months. But every so often you get a collection of a really good harvest. And, that's when I say my business model, I get to see the positive growth within my clientele, my friends, my membership. I get to see them see things within themselves that they never been able to touch before. I want to explain that we can't start too heavy or too extreme, because then we need somewhere to grow to. So what we have to do is create our own personal barometers. So like if I was to explain to a child, from a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the heaviest, 1 being the easiest, I want you to play at a 3. I want you to play at a 5. I want you to play at a 7. Then we can once you start to create positional motor skills and positional strength, then we can start to increase your education. And we can say, hey, well, let's now transfer that feeling into quantitative data. How do you write down the numbers, track your journey? You did 100 pounds this week. Next week, we did 110 pounds. Hey, I want you in week 3 to bump it to 30% from what you did in week 1. Hell no. I do not feel like I'm a traditional CrossFit gym. I want to think that we do. There will be certain things that are super standard and super traditional, yes. But I'd like to think that we encompass so many different personalities of communities that other CrossFit gyms don't. What I can say is that we celebrate all shades, colors, sizes, cultures at Dean CrossFit. Again, we are African American or Black owned, call it whatever you want. We're the only African American or Black institution in the 5 boroughs of New York City. We have rainbow flags, we got Black Panther flags, we have Colombian flags, we have whatever shape you are, or whatever color you are, or whatever size you are, it fits in my gym. You know what, the beautiful thing about opening up a strength and conditioning gym and opening up a CrossFit gym, it's not as expensive as opening up a global gym. Meaning, like, it doesn't look like Crunch and Equinox and New York Sports Club. Those gyms, LA Fitness, those gyms take on a different type of expense, which with those machines that you're using with pulley systems and like very key things are expensive, extremely expensive to not only purchase, but to also maintain. With us, we're a collection, we're an assortment of dumbbells, kettlebells, ropes, rowers, bikes, and not to say that's not expensive, but the wear and tear on them lasts a little bit longer. So I would say in the gym that we're in right now, I probably spent maybe $150,000 on just equipment over a course of time. Maybe a little shy of $250,000. But I definitely feel like it's been 10 years. I've been in business for 10 years. I feel like it's been about $10,000 a year. You know, the maintenance of Dean Crossfit or situation like this, you know, to each his own. Like, you know, for me, like, I handle a lot of the operational and a lot of the maintenance stuff. So I'm always reinvesting, trying to buy new equipment every month, a little bit by little bit. You know, I think it can be a tedious work, but if you want to stay in business and keep operational costs down, you better maintain or have maintenance procedures, policies, know-how in order to keep the equipment functional. And there's also an insurance liability that comes along with that. And not only an insurance liability, but there's also an experience liability. You want the members to have a quality experience and say, oh, they care about their space. You know, I have a very unique staff. A lot of my staff we've been with each other. Some of us have been with each other for 10 years. It's been a very beautiful growth process. It's just like one family. It's just like a family in the sense of, like, there are really great barbecues and dinners, and then might be a little spicy arguments from time to time, but that's okay. Those things create change. Those things create awareness and growth. I would say that I have a pretty high retention in terms of keeping my staff. I believe my oldest staff member has been with me for 11 years, and I've only been open for 10. A lot of my staff I have hired from within. Those athletes and members that showed the enthusiasm to want to teach fitness or strength and conditioning or wellness practices. And then there's also a clutch of individuals that didn't grow from within my organization, but they brought the right fit. Some of them have a lot of different experiences in a lot of different places. Actors, school teachers, university professors, career trainers. Some of them were bartenders in a past life. We have some really awesome personalities as coaches. And then some of them are from New York City, some of them are from South America, some of them are from Italy. We have a melting pot of coaches. I believe the Dean CrossFit has a funky combination of really good, cool services and resources. Right now, we are primarily a CrossFit facility, strength and conditioning, which is a hybrid mix of gymnastics meets strength lifting or powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting. You may even go into hypertrophy, bodybuilding-ish type of weightlifting, and then also cardiovascular training, which metabolic conditioning that actually can spin from jump roping or running or rowing or biking or whatever, or what have you. So that's all one infused play. Then we also have a strength program or a powerlifting program where athletes that go into that network, they dedicate themselves for 2 months to learn strength or create strength development for themselves, but under like the rules of powerlifting. We have a strong powerlifting coach who's internationally recognized, and some of her athletes are internationally recognized as also. We also have a really fly kettlebell Tabata-esque juggling cohort of clientele, or not even clientele, but of coaches that bring a strong dynamic and different change and flair to the gym. We also have a few running organizations that we resource our members to, just so in case you wanna just get out there, stretch your legs and breathe and see New York City for a little bit and just get a good strong 6-mile run or 15-mile run or 2-mile run, right? And then we also have different, I would say, resources with different Pilates and yoga facilities in the neighborhood. But there's one more person or one more service that I didn't mention. We have a really strong gymnastics class that happens twice a week. And that is and when I say gymnastics, pull-ups, box jumps, single leg pistol squats, double unders, muscle ups, and it also comes with a really strong mobility aspect. So it's like kind of like a hybrid approach of gymnastics and mobility, and you can't do one without the other. Actually, we acquire our clients by a lot of different spaces. One, we stand out. Our building is recognizable. We're on the corner of a major threshold. The bus line runs up and down our block. We are in a commercial/residential space, so we get a little bit of walk-up traffic, which is great. Number two, we have a really strong online presence, and our Google reviews are really strong. So when people say move to the neighborhood, because we're in New York, we're all New Yorkers. People are very transity in New York, so they live in Queens for 2 years, then they live in Brooklyn for another 2 years, and then they live in Jersey for 6 months, and then they come right back to New York City, and then no day at Jersey. But what ends up happening is that people do Google searches, and they say, hey, what is the best fit for me? And then they come over and they try us out, and it's either they like us or they don't, and and most people stay and they dig in. But like I would say, our clients are really reached through walk-up activity, through our social media network, and through our basically our online platforms. Having a membership versus a drop-in is like almost night and day. One of them allows me to sleep a lot better at night, and which is the monthly reoccurring membership. It allows me to feel and know that every month I'm going to be able to guarantee that someone, or almost guarantee that someone or most will stay with me, which allows me to keep the lights on, which allows me to pay my staff, which brings accountability, not only for me, but it brings accountability to the athlete as well, or the client as well. A drop-in, a little scary. Drop-in is like, hey, I'm not quite committed towards my health. I'm just trying things out. Or, hey, I'm in between jobs. Or drop-ins tell a lot of different stories, and it lets you know where that person is in their fitness journey. And so that's the difference between membership versus drop-in. Community is extremely important. We want, just as much as I want to invest in them, they have to turn around and also invest in us. It's a marriage. We have more people now working from home. Some people that still want to remain distant during those winter months. But for the spring, when New York City starts to come alive and people start to say, oh wow, I can go outside, we can see plants starting to bloom, New York City takes a completely different life. And that's right now, we are in the middle of March, and we're in the beginning of our peak season. we're about to go for the next 3 to 4 months between now and July the 4th. We are going to be slammed busy. And then it tapers down because then people start to vacation a little bit. And then it picks right back up in the fall. And then around the holidays, it drops right back down a little again. Now, the interesting thing is that the world programs around New Year's resolution. But at that time, really doesn't spike for us because we're a strength and conditioning gym. We're not selling great workouts. We're selling great programming and great experiences and great community. So it's not like going to Crunch and say, hey, I got a good sweat. No, we want you to get better over a course of time so that it becomes a lifestyle. And that, you have to sell that. And you have to sell that, and you have to mature that type of conversation with someone because the world doesn't react that way. But so we may decline a little bit in the new year, but the odd part is that personal training doesn't work that way. Personal training stays hot from December all the way to July the 4th, and then it tapers down and then picks right back up in September. I don't know, like maybe I might be dating myself, but there's a show called Cheers. And in the 80s, in this show called Cheers, they're like, we go to a place where everybody knows our name. And when you go to a CrossFit gym or a small, intimate, independent gym, you're going to get a chance to meet everyone there. And they're going to become familiar faces to you in the neighborhood. They don't, in the beginning, yeah, they're clients, they're members, but then you start to become community. And then when you become community, then you become fitness family. And then we become healthy friends. I'm your healthy friends that you can go out with. I'm your healthy friends that you go shopping with. I'm your healthy friends that you meet at the gym to go push yourself a little bit further than what you could have done by yourself. So like, we're a fit family. We are a fit family, and that's what it is, 100%. Running a business in New York City is wonderful and extremely challenging at the same time. It's really the tango, where it's energy back and forth. You have to have a full understanding of the bylaws, the federal bylaws and policy laws and regulations, state laws and regulations. Then you have to have city laws and regulations. So there's all three of those things that you have to take into account. That goes for Department of Health, that means Department of Buildings, that means Department of Sanitation, and that also means what's going on with my local politicians that my community serves. So am I going to District 36 and 35 meetings to understand what's happening in the jurisdictions or the districts of my community members? It's about having those type of relationships. It's also about understanding taxation. So, hey, depending on the type of corporate structure that I'm under, am I paying quarterly taxes? Am I paying what type of sales tax? Am I selling merchandise? What does that look like? Do I have the authority to even receive tax dollars? There's a lot of little nuances that they need to have an entrepreneurial school 101, literally, so this can be broken down. So opening an LLC or any type of legal entity means, hey, state, I want to do business with you. And that's how the state treats you. But if you don't know the information and the laws and the policies, then the way they teach you is by fining you. And so you have to really dial in and become well-versed, ask questions, find mentorship, understand how the process works, because it can be very lengthy and expensive. Do we have inspections? During COVID, the Department of Health, when they start to open up the doors for gyms and restaurants, the Department of Health was on overtime, making sure that all gyms and all restaurants that are open were fully inspected and meeting the laws of the state. When you're doing any form of construction, the Department of Buildings will come in and host inspections to make sure that the building is safe to actually hold people. In terms of fitness and strength and conditioning and the way the gym runs, it's up to the ownership or management to oversee those policies to make sure that we're staying in good standing with our insurances, and then also making sure that we're doing the best and most safe practices for our community. So it's a little bit of like, we have to host our own inspections all the time. Education. Education is one of the reasons why I decided to open up a CrossFit gym. Because what I realized I've worked at all the big gyms in New York City once upon a time, and what I realized is that the education component was not necessarily, it was expected.
Yes.
But there was no check and balance to ensure that you actually even had it or did it or you stayed in good standing. And so what ends up happening is I didn't see enough movement education or psychological education or professional education happening. But what I saw with CrossFit is that they had 4 different tier structures: level 1, level 2, 3, and 4 certification coaches. But then in between there must be like at least 20 different CEUs that you could jump into that will always progress your information as a professional. I expect my coaches to grow, and whatever I need to do to help be resourceful to do that, we will. At Dean Crossfit, we've given away certification scholarships. We've given away educational scholarships. We've brought in a physical therapist to teach the coaches so they can learn how to triage and assess movement. We have brought in non-biased trainers that are very seasoned coaches to come in and help tool or retool our coaches so they can be sharp on delivery. Because at the same time, like, it's a difference you can tell the difference between somebody who's guessing and someone who has the confidence to actually deliver a message or to perform a task. So my responsibility as an owner at this point is to push my coaches or to give resources to my coaches so that they can actually become better than what they are. Because all my coaches are better than me. And that's how it should be. And that's how I want it to be. And what I'm going to do is just keep on putting more fuel in the flame. At Dean CrossFit, we do more than just squat, bench press, run. We do more than just the traditional exercise. We do more here at Dean because we are health facilitators, wellness facilitators, entrepreneurial facilitators. We're here to bring support systems to people. We do more external events, like I have a really sizable LGBTQIA community. Well, you know what? I want my community, I'm an ally. I want my community to feel good about who the hell they are. Let's get afloat. Let's take part of the Pride Parade. You know what? Hey, I'm Caribbean. Let's get afloat. Let's do Juve together. Let's get down Eastern Parkway together. Let's go to the beach together. Let's get a chance to know one another, because health and wellness, to my definition, doesn't start and stop at the barbell. It's about the relationships that you have. It's about the experiences that you have. That's health and wellness. Like, that's the epitome to me. But at the end of the day, you pick and choose what you want to do and what fits for you. Because for you, it might just be the barbell. For me, it's the barbell plus the activities. And we also have a service that we provide along with the Phoenix Foundation, where we provide free training or free classes to those people that are seeking sobriety, which means, hey, if you want to come to my gym and take class on a Friday at 11 o'clock, that means you have to be sober, you have to be alcohol and drug free for 48 hours. And that class takes place at 11 o'clock every Friday. And it's a volunteer class. My coaches don't get paid for that. This is something they do from the bottom of their heart. So this is the type of environment that I want to foster to people that are coming in here and coming out of here. I was told once that 50% of all businesses that start fail and they go out of business within 3 to 5 years. Then I was told another statistic that businesses with partnerships have a higher rate of failing than a single unit entrepreneur base. So we're basically saying there's a 76% chance that I may go out of business due to partnerships. So I have partners, and guess what? I've been in business for about 10 years now. And what I can say is that you have to learn how to dance. You have to learn how to juggle. You have to learn how to trade workloads. And I'm a firm believer that you could have business partners, but I don't think the business partners should do the exact same task and role. I think every business partner should have its own assigned place of accountability. Because if not, you're going to run into a clash or the potential of clashing. Because everybody's going to want to do it the way they see it. And not everybody shares the same vision. But now if we have an assumed same vision, but we all play a different component of that, then we can all move together efficiently. And those are the things that I believe need to happen when you have a business partnership. Yeah. Well, my business partners are Shamel Rogers, Leonard Bell, and Maylard Howard. And I'm Christopher Sainsbury. And we are the only Black-owned CrossFit facility, strength and conditioning, in the 5 boroughs of New York. Can you believe that? If I had to sum up giving advice to a new entrepreneur, I would say this, that you are going to be tested. This is going to be weathering. You are going to have a deep understanding, depending on the type of business that you are, of every function that makes your business tick. That's number one. And you should never be afraid to play whatever hat or role that you need to be able to play. Somebody may call out sick. The infrastructure may break down. The website might crash. You may be in transition of accountants. There's so many things that may happen. And you need to be able to, one, have a strong organizational structure for yourself. Not only to do the work, but also to know when to take a break. Because not knowing when to step back will lead you into burning out, which will lead you into a devastation cycle of either bad habits or just feeling really horrible or not being able to do your job on hand. Rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is also a job. It takes work to do this. So you need to factor in that you must pay yourself. It's never a pay yourself later or maybe a couple months down the road. Consider yourself operational cost. If you are an owner-operator, consider yourself as operational cost. Because one day the business will expire. Hopefully it's a business that grows past you. But at the same time, you also have to have an exit plan. What happens when the lease is done? Do you do it again? Do you not do it again? And if you don't do it again, how much did you save? What did you put away? Or did you just keep on reinvesting and just spend money foolishly? I can also say hire an accountant and a bookkeeper. Be very mindful of the trends of your money, which means be mindful of the season, when you're peak season, when you're low season. You have to have keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball, but make sure you take care of yourself in the process. And I'm going to say that taking care of yourself in the process of being an owner of a business, because most of us owners tend to work relentlessly, and sometimes you have to make decisions that are horribly scary and they impact the lives of so many. And you have to be able to be decisive, and win or lose, you need to be able to make a strong decision. Let's get it. My man.